पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पाद शङ्करं लोकशङ्करं। शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः। ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। गुकारस्त्वन्धकारश्च तन्निवर्तकः अन्धकारनिरोधित्वात् गुरुरित्यभिधीयते। सदाशिवसमारम्भाम् शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्ताम् वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। नमः श्री शङ्करानन्द गुरुपादाम्बुजन्मने सविलासमहामोह ग्राहग्रासैककर्मणे। Verse 78. अणुर्महान् मध्यमो वेति एवं तत्रापि वादिनः बहुधा विवदन्ते हि श्रुतियुक्तिसमाश्रयात्। अणुं वदन्त्यान्तरालाः सूक्ष्मनाडी प्रचारतः। रोमसहस्रभागेन तुल्यासु प्रचरत्ययम्। अणोरणीयानेषोणुः सूक्ष्मात् सूक्ष्मतरन्त्रिते। अणुत्वमाहुश्रुतयः शतशोथसहस्रशः। बालाग्रशतभागस्य शतधा कल्पितस्य च। भागो जीवस्य विज्ञेयः इति चाह पराश्रुतिः। Having shown how Atma is other than the body, the sense organs, prana, the mind and buddhi, that Atma is Anandamaya and Asti and then Asmi. So nature of Atma is Anandamaya. Having shown that, now is taken up a discussion on what is the dimension of Atma. And three opinions exist pertaining to the dimension of Atma. There is a school of thought, Vaishnavas in particular, who believe that Atma is of the size of an atom. There are others who believe that the Atma is the size of the body. And yet others and Vedantins believe that Atma is all pervasive. First is presented the opinion of those who take the Atma to be Anu or the size of an atom. So their reason for saying that Atma is the size of an atom, Sukshunari Pracharatah, Because we find that in dream state, as the Upanishad, the Shruti describes, that Atma enters the Sukshma Nadi, a very subtle or very minute nerve, and in the dream state, and that kind of entry into a minute nerve is possible only where Atma also were minute, and therefore they say that Atma is minute in dimension. And this is Yukti. And they quote the Shruti also, Anoraniyan, Mahato Mahiyan, Eshomratma, Chetasa Veditavya, Sukshmat, Sukshmataram Nityam. In so many such Shrutis, Atma is described as Anu or Sukshma. Sukshma also means very small. And in particular, this Shvetashvata Upanishad is very famous. Bharagra Shatabhagasya Shatadha Kalpitasya Bhavo Jivasya Vijnaya. So there even dimension of Jiva is given, Atma is given, that take the hair and the tip of the hair and split that tip into 100 and split that further into 100, and whatever is the size, that is the size of this Jiva. As I said yesterday, the intention of the Shruti is not to describe the dimension of Atma, but to say how Atma is in fact extremely subtle, and therefore a very subtle mind is required. You require ekagrata, the single pointedness, as well as antahkarana shuddhi, so purity of the mind. Both are required, and then alone Atma can be known. So to illustrate that or to indicate that is the attempt on the part of the Shruti to as though give the dimension of Atma, but not to intend in the primary sense. Then the discussion is continued. Madhyama Parinamavadano Matam Darshadi. In verse 82 now, the teacher shows the matam of opinion of those who take the Atma as Madhyama Parinami, meaning of the size of the body. Madhyama means the size in between, which is the size of the body. And that's the opinion of a school of Jaina who are called Digambara. So verse 82 says, Digambara Madhyamatvam Ahura Padamastakam Chaitanya Vyapti Sandrishte Anakhagrashruterapi. Digambaraha Madhyatvam Ahuhu. This is the school of the Jaina. So, and basically they were Digambara. So Mahavir Swami, who founded this school, he was a Digambara. Oh, he was a naked ascetic wandering in the forest. But subsequently they became what we call Shvetambara, meaning wearing white clothes subsequently. So at the moment there are two schools primarily in this Jains in India. One is called Digambara, another is Shvetambara. Shvetambara are those who wear white clothes, means clothes, and other Digambara are those who generally remain in the forest, even though they also have their monasteries in the towns, but they do not wear any clothes. So these Digambaras, they say that Atma is Madhyamaha, it is of the size of the body. Apadamastakam. So, why do you say that? Apadamastakam. Tatra upapattim aha apadamastakam. Because this is what our experience is. We experience Atma from the pada, means from the toe or from the foot, the soul, right up to the head. We experience consciousness in our body from the sole of the foot right up to the head, and then we say that Atma pervades every cell in the body. And the common illustration that is given is, if you take a dip in the Ganges, which is very cold water, if you take a dip in the Ganges, you feel cold all over the body, not just in one place, but all over the body. That shows that consciousness is there all over the body, and therefore Atma is throughout the body and not an atom. If Atma were of the size of an atom, of the dimension of an atom, then he can be at one point, at one time. You see, the reason why they say that Atma is of the size of atom is because I can perform only one perceptual function at a time. When I see, I don't hear. When I hear, I can do only one thing at a time, or my attention is going to be in one sense organ at a time. Therefore they say that Atma is of the size of atom. Of course some people think that mind is of the size of atom because it travels from one sense organ to one sense organ. So that Atma is atomic because at a given point in time it is found to be in one place. When I am seeing, the Atma is there in the eyes. When I am hearing, the Atma is in the ears. When I am walking, the Atma is in the legs, and so forth. They refute that idea by saying that Apadamastakam. In fact, in experiences such as taking a dip in the river, you feel cold all over the body simultaneously. That shows that Atma pervades the entire body from the sole of the foot right up to the tip of the head. So Apadamastakam Chaitanya Vyapti Sandrustehe. Exactly. So Sandrustehe, since we see Vyapti or pervasiveness of Chaitanya, meaning consciousness. So we experience that the consciousness pervades the entire body, beginning from the sole of the foot right to the head, and therefore we say that Atma is present throughout the body, or Atma is of the dimension of the body. This is the Upapatti, meaning this is the Yukti. Then they give also the Shruti. Anakhagra Shrutarapi. So next page the Tikagara quotes the Shruti. Sesha pravishtaha anakhagrebhya iti Shruti apyatra pramanityaha anakhagre. There is a statement in Brihadaranyaka Upanishad where it said Saha esha iha pravishtaha. Saha Paramatma, Eshaha Atma. Saha always indicates something that is remote. So that indicates something that is remote. Saha Paramatma, that Paramatma. Eshaha, this indicates something that is immediate, proximate. Eshaha Sakshitvena Anubhavamanaha Atma, meaning this one who is experienced as the very witness of all the functions. That one, Iha Asmin Sharire Pravishtaha Anakhagrebhya. If Atma has entered in this body, Anakhagrebhya, Nakhagra, Nakha means a nail, Agra means the tip of the nail. Right up to the tip of the nail, this Atma has entered this body. This is a statement of the Shruti that also shows that Atma is of the size or dimension of the body, because the Shruti says that Atma has entered this body and pervades the entire body up to the tip of the nails. So this is why we contend that Atma is of the size of the body. Then some questions will arise. Nanu madhyama parimanatve shruti siddho nadik pracharo na ghatate iti ashankyaha. Madhyama parimanatve, the question is, if you take Atma to be of the madhyama parimana, meaning of the middle dimension, meaning of the dimension or size of the body, then shruti siddho nadik prachara. Shruti says that Atma enters a sukshma nadi during the dream state. And if Atma were of the size of the body, how could Atma enter that very minute nerve? So if you accept the Atma to be of the size of the body, then you cannot explain the entry of the Atma in a minute nerve in such states as dream, etc. And then you will have to discard the Shruti, you will have to discard the statement of the Shruti which says that Atma enters the Sukshmanadi or a very minute nerve in the dream state. And so, how do you explain that? Somebody asks this Digambara that if you accept Atma to be of the size of the body, then how do you explain the Shruti which says that Atma enters a very minute nerve during dream, etc. And that answer is given by Digambaras in the verse 83. Sukshmanadi pracharastu Sukshmairavayavirбhaved Sthuladehasya hastabhyam Kanchuka pratimokavat. Sukshmanadi pracharastu. to, however, Sukshma Prasaraha, the movement of Atma in a very minute nerve, can be explained in a different way. How? Sukshmahi avayavaihi bhaved. We say that Atma has many avayavas. Avayava means many limbs. And therefore, it is not that the whole Atma enters that nadi. However, one part or fraction of the Atma alone enters the nadi. So when the Shruti says that Atma enters a very minute nerve in the dream state, Shruti does not mean that the whole Atma enters that minute nerve. All the Shruti means is that one part of Atma enters that minute nerve. That's what the idea is. Sukshmahi avayavaihi bhaved. Atma has many avayavas and many limbs. Sukshma avayavas, many minute limbs Atma has, many minute parts Atma has, and it is one of those parts that enters that Purita Nadi in the dream state. And have you ever found, that means it is not the whole Atma that enters, only part of the Atma enters. But if part of the Atma enters, how does Shruti say that Atma enters? He says, well, even though it says Atma, it only means part, because sometimes, this is called Lakshana Vritti. That even though Shruti says Atma enters, in fact what Shruti means is only part enters. Just as in our common parlance also, Sthula Dehasya Hastabhyam Kanchuka Pratimokavata. Pratimoka means pravesh. Just as, like Kanchuka means the coat sleeve, etc. No? So when we insert our arms in the sleeves, then we say that I have inserted myself in the sleeves. Even though one avayava or one limb of the body is inserted in the sleeve, we say that the body is inserted in the sleeve. Hastabhyam, so with the help, with the hand, two hands, sthula dehasya kanchuka pratimokavat. In fact, only two arms enter in that sleeve of the coat, and it is said as though the whole body enters. We do not mean that the whole body has entered these sleeves, only arms have entered, but then the common parlance, the usage is that the body has entered. And similarly also when the Shruti says that Atma enters that minute nerve, it is not the Atma, but only one limb of the Atma. Says the Tikakara, Yatha Deha Avayavayoho Hastayoho Kanchuka Praveshena Dehasya Kanchuka Praveshaha. Just as the hands, which are the avayava or the limbs of the body, when the hands enter this sleeve, then we say that the body is, I have entered the sleeve, or I have put on the coat, etc. And so, or when you insert the hand in the bangle, for example, then only one arm enters the bangle, or one hand rather. And so I am wearing the bangle, we say, and as though I have entered the bangle, so that's a prayoga. Similarly also, Tadvat Atma Avayavanam Sukshmanam Nadishu Pracharena Atmanopi Prachara Upacharita Ityartha. Shruti does not mean the entry of the Atma in a minute nerve in a primary sense. Shruti means it only in a secondary sense. Like these people say. What actually happens is that only a very minute limb of the Atma enters that nadi, and in a secondary sense alone it is said that Atma enters, whereas in primary sense only a limb of the Atma enters the nadi. So Upacharyate, only in a figurative sense it is said that Atma enters the nadi. And so the idea is when you have a certain opinion or when you project a certain view, then you have to give explanation of the various statements of Shruti. So we are demanding from them an explanation as to how to explain the entry of the Atma in that minute nerve. In this manner it can be explained. Then yet another question. Nanu Atmanah niyata madhyama parimanatve karmavashat न्यूनाधिक शरीर pravesha न घटते. Now what happens is Atma continues from one birth to another one, from one life to another life. And karmavashat, depending upon the composition of the karma or the actions that I have performed in this life and the actions standing in my account in the past lives, that will determine where my next birth is going to be. It is quite possible that even though in this life I am a human being, I may very well take up the form of an elephant, let us say. And after the elephant, the same jiva may take up the form of a mosquito. Now if the Atma is of the size of the body, at the moment you say that Atma is the size of this human body, how can that Atma enter the body of an elephant? Because elephant's body is so much bigger, and therefore, how do you explain the Atma is the size of the body? How do you explain its entry into a bigger body, or the Atma of the elephant? If it has to, now that one takes the next birth as mosquito, how does such a big Atma enter the body of the mosquito? And therefore, you won't be able to explain this. So, Atma has niyata madhyama parimanatve. Niyata means that without saying, if you say that Atma is definitely of the size of the body, karmavashat nyunadika sharira pravesha. The nyuna means small, adhika means big. That according to karma, this Atma may have to take any number of births, any kind of births, and then it may be all varying because in one yoni he is in one birth, he is in this body, in another birth he may be in another body, and certainly those bodies are going to be different, and therefore, how does that happen? Iti ashanka. He says, well, there also we have an explanation. What is the explanation? Avayava agam apayabhyam atmanah niyata madhyama parimanatvad dehavat ubhayam na viruddhyadeti. He says, after all, Atma is changeable in size. Avayava agam apayabhyam. See footnote number 1. Agama utpattihi apayah nasah. Atma is one alone, but he has different limbs. Those limbs can grow or the limbs can shrink also. So when Atma is aware of the different limbs, then it is our experience here also that limbs are of the nature of growth and shrinking. For example, when I was born, well, my limbs were all very small. In course of time, the limbs grew into the present size. And when I grow old, the limbs will shrink again. A man who is so hefty, he may shrink and become very lean. Or if you fall ill, etc., then also you shrink. Then what happens? All those limbs shrink. So limbs have this nature of growing and shrinking. And therefore, Atma also can grow and shrink. So, there is no problem that if from the human form the Atma enters the elephant form, then we would imagine that Atma has grown to assume the form of the elephant. And the same Atma enters again in the mosquito form, then that Atma is shrunk like the body shrinks in order to enter the mosquito form. And so, avayava agam apayabhyam, on account of creation or destruction or growth and decay in the different limbs, atmanah niyat madhyama parimanatvat dehavat. So, just as the body also grows and shrinks, and still is called body, and so Atma can be said to be of the dimension of the body. So ubhayam naviruddhyate. Ubhayam means nyunadika sharira pravesha. That Atma can enter a smaller body or it can enter a bigger body also. It's no problem because Atma, since it has limbs, therefore it can grow or it can shrink. So this is that theory that Atma is of the size of the body, and that's what is said in verse 84. Nyunadhika sharireshu praveshopi gamagamaihi atmamshanam bhavettena madhyamatvam vinishchitam. Nyuna dhikasharireshu praveshopi. Pravesha means entry. And also the entry into nyuna adhika. Nyuna means small, adhika means big. And also entry into the smaller and bigger upadhis or bodies. Gamagamaihi atmamshanam gamagamaihi bhaveta. Atmamshanam, of the limbs of the Atma, the self, gamagamaihi, by the coming and going, or by the growth and decay of the limbs of the Atma, even the entry into the smaller and the bigger bodies also can be explained. Phalitamahatena, and therefore, on account of that, madhyamatvam vinishchitam, atmanah madhyamatvam vinishchitam, the Atma is madhyama of the size of the body is determined, is ascertained. So, whatever difficulties were there in explaining the middle size of the Atma, that has been explained here. Why is it so? Because the Shruti says, because you feel consciousness all throughout the body, therefore it is reasonable to say that Atma is throughout the body. Shruti also says that Atma has entered this body up to the tip of the nails, and therefore that is verified by the Shruti. And then the explanation that Atma enters in subtle nerves or minute nerves can be explained by saying that only one part of the Atma enters in nerves. And Atma is shifting from one body to the other in different yonis can be explained by saying that Atma acquires some new limbs or gives up the present limbs. Or the limbs of the Atma grow or shrink, and therefore entry from one kind of body to another also is no problem. So on account of all these reasons, madhyamatvam vinishchitam, Atma is madhyama or of the dimension of the body, vinishchitam, that is ascertained. So this madhyama parimanavadina, these people, they dismiss the anuparimanavadina. Now if we dismiss this madhyama parimana fellow, then both of them are dismissed, and therefore it's done in the verse 85. It says, Atmanah savayavatte ghatadavat anityatva prasangena etad dushayate. If you say that Atma is savayava, meaning Atma is avayavas or limbs or parts, then ghatadavat, like a pot also has parts. So they imagine the pot to be made up of the kapala. So pot, first of all they make the lower half, then they make the upper half, and then they join, you see. And therefore a pot also is made of different parts, like the lower half and the upper half. The cloth also is made of different parts, namely the waft and the warp, and so the yarn. So the horizontal and the vertical, these are the different parts of which the cloth is made. Or a house is made up of different parts, like the beams and columns, etc. And whatever is made up of parts is subject to destruction. This is our observation. So anything that is savayavam, meaning anything that is composed of different components, at times will come when those parts will separate or disintegrate. Whatever holds those parts together, when that holding force is no more there, then those parts will separate, like a house also. House also one day will collapse, because whatever is holding the house together, when that force doesn't remain, and then all the components will collapse. And so if you say that Atma consists of different parts, then definitely those parts will perish, and therefore Atma also will perish. So anything that is savayavam, anything is with parts, is definitely going to disintegrate. And therefore, Atmanah savayavatte ghatadavat anityatva prasangena, and anything that perishes is called anityam. It is mortal, it is perishable. Then Atma becomes perishable, Atma will die. In that case, dushayati, then various difficulties will arise. And that is pointed out in the verse 85. Samshasya ghatavannashah bhavatyeva tatha sati कृतनाशा कृताभ्यागमयोः को वार को भवेत्. सांशस्य घटवत् नाशः भवति एव. So this is something that is a matter of experience. The samshasya, so anything that is amsha, amshena sahitam samsham, so that is possesses amsha, or the parts. Ghatavat, like a part which possesses parts, how the part perishes, and so anything that possesses parts perishes. Samshasya nashah yatha ghatasya nashah. Ghatah samshah, and Ghataha Nashavan. So Ghata has so many limbs or parts, and Ghata is perishable. Therefore, anything that has parts is perishable. And therefore, if Atma also has parts, then Atma also will perish. This is Bhavatu Ko Dosha. Let Atma perish. Ko Dosha Tatra. Suppose Atma perish, is a subject to destruction. Ko Dosha. What's the difficulty in that? Let it be so. Tatra. In that case, the shloka says Tatha Sati. If that is the case, meaning if you accept Atma to be perishable, Krutanasha Akruta Abhyagamayoho Varato Ko Varakaha Ko Bhavet. Then Kaha Varako Bhavet. Who will be the one that will be able to eliminate this difficulty or eliminate this consequence of Krutanasha Akruta Abhyagama? Krutanasha meaning destruction of Krutam, that which has been done, Akruta Abhyagama, an arrival of that which has not been done. So if Atma perishes, Atma dies, then definitely this difficulty will be there, that if I am born, for example, this birth is the birth of Atma, let us say, when I am born, if that is the time when Atma is born, then how do you explain all the different characteristics that I possess and all the kind of pleasure and pain that I experience? How do you explain that? Because I do not have any history at all. And then, what is it that brings variety of situations before me? It is some past karma. But if you do not accept the past history, then there is no past karma at all. And so without having performed any action at all, I am stuck with the pleasure and pain in this life. That is called what? Akruta Abhyagama. Arrival of or a coming of that which has not been done. So I am stuck with a body for which I have not performed any karma at all. And so I get this body without having any cause in the past. And therefore this life cannot be explained. And also throughout this life I keep on performing variety of actions, and when I die, what happens to so many actions that I perform, of which I have not been able to experience the results? Because it is not that all the actions that I perform in this life, that right away I experience the result. There are many actions which yield the result after a long time. And therefore, even when I die, there will be any number of things that I have done in this life for which I have not experienced the consequences of those actions. And if all the actions die along with me, that means what? Krutanasha. An action dies or perishes without giving rise to result. A cause perishes without giving rise to result. If you accept the death of Atma, and if you accept the birth of Atma, then that is what we call effect arising without the cause. This body is an effect, and this life that I am leading is an effect. But since I did not have any past birth, there is no cause at all in the past. So we are stuck with an effect without the cause. And I am performing variety of actions, meaning I am causing many things to happen. And if all these actions perish without producing the effect, then we have a cause not producing the effect. So effect arising without the cause is called Akruta Abhyagama, arrival of that which has not been done. And the cause, the perishing without performing effect, is called Krutanasha, destruction of what has been done. And this, if this is accepted, then there will be no order at all in the creation, because the cause and effect law, which we find functioning everywhere, fails in this case. And that means the cause and effect law is not reliable. You can never be sure that a certain effect will come when a certain cause exists, or that when you find an effect, that there must necessarily be a cause. You will not have even a court of law. Just because a certain person died, so you immediately assume that somebody has killed him. How do you say that? If you can accept that something can happen without the cause, a person can die without the cause. But no, we say that when a person dies, that means some cause must be there. Either some disease is there, or perhaps somebody killed him. And that's how we search for the cause, and that's how if there is someone who has done it, then he is punishable. Now he would not be punishable if the law of cause and effect were not valid. And whole science, etc., it would not work, because the science works on this whole chain of cause and effect. And therefore, there will be no order in this life at all if you say that Atma is subject to death or Atma is subject to destruction. And Atma will be subject to destruction if you imagine that Atma has different limbs or has parts. And that's why the Tikakara says, Krutayoho, Punya Papayoho, Bhogamantarena Nashaha, Krutanashaha. All the Punya and Papa that I have gathered, or all the Punya Karma and Papa Karma that I perform in this life, if they perish without producing the effect, there is Krutanashaha, destruction of what has been done. Akrutayoho, Akasmat, Phaladatrutvam, Akruta Bhyagamaha. And Akasmat. Akasmat means what? As an accident. Kasmat, Kasmat means what? From where? Akasmat means what? From nowhere. So if something comes from nowhere, it is called Akasmat. And therefore in Sanskrit, accident is called Akasmat. Because we do not understand why it happened. And so also, we won't be able to understand why do I have this body and why my life has a certain pattern which is different from somebody else. It is Akasmat, meaning just an accident. And that is called, so, Akruta Bhyagamaha. Evad dosadvayam atmanah anityatva abhivagame bhavet iti bhavaha. And if you accept Atma to be anitya or perishable, then these two doshas or these two problems will arise, and that is not explicable. Therefore, we have to accept continuity of existence of Atma. If we say Atma exists and exists, it does not die, is not subject to birth and death, then it cannot have parts. Because that which is part is a product. And if it is a product, it must have a birth. And if it has birth, it must have death. So Atma cannot be a product. It cannot be an assembly of different components, because an assembly also will disintegrate someday. The components will separate and the assembly will perish. So Atma, if it is imperishable, cannot be an assembly. It cannot be with parts. It cannot be confined to time or space, because anything that is confined to time or space is perishable. And therefore, Atma cannot be confined to space, therefore it must be all pervasive. Cannot be confined to time, so it must be eternal. And it is not subject to change or modification, so it must be partless. And that is how, simply, just to explain the order existing in creation, we have to accept the continuity of existence of everything. Not only the Atma but matter also. That matter also continues. That's why we have the law of conservation of matter. That mass also, there is conservation of matter energy, whatever you call it. And that conservation alone shows that there is no destruction as such anywhere in the matter also. And so also no destruction is possible for Atma. And therefore, says Ataha Parisheshat Atmaha Vibhutvam Siddham. Parisheshat, by the elimination. Since Anutvam, the minuteness of the Atma, and Madhyamatvam, the middleness of the Atma, both of them have been eliminated. Therefore, the only thing that remains now is Vibhutvam, or the all-pervasiveness of Atma. So Parisheshat means by elimination. So Prasakta, Pratishadaha, so these two have been eliminated, and what remains there is called Parisheshaha, or what remains is residual. And so Vibhutvam Siddham, the third choice is, or the third possibility is, Atma is Vibhu, or all-pervasive, and therefore all-pervasiveness of Atma is established because the other two pakshas have been eliminated. And that is said in verse 86. Tasmadatma mahaneva naivanurnapi madhyamaha akashavat sarvagataha Niram Shashruti Sammataha. Tasmat Atma Mahaneva. Therefore Atma must be Mahan. Mahan means big or great. How great? Well, without any limitation. Naiva Anuhu Napi Madhyamaha. Atma cannot be Anu, meaning atomic, not the Madhyama or the middle size namely of the body, and therefore Atma must be Mahaneva. Atma must be big, meaning he must be all pervasive. Tatra Pramanamaha, this is the Yukti. Since it cannot be Anu, and since it cannot be Madhyama, it must be Vibhu or Mahan, all pervasive. Now, how about the Shruti? Tatra Pramanamaha. In the second line, the author here gives the evidence of the Shruti. Akashavat Sarvagataha. This quotes here. Akashavat Sarvagatasya Nityah. This is Gaudapad Karika, or Shvetasvatara Upanishad also says Akashavat Sarvagatasya Nityah. Like space, Sarvagataha Atma is all pervasive, Nityah. All pervasive meaning it is neither Anu nor Madhyama, and Nityaha. Nitya means he is eternal, meaning he is not subject to birth and death. So Akashavat like space, it is Sarvagataha and Nityaha. It is all pervasive as well as eternal, meaning it is free from birth and death or imperishable, and that is Shruti. Nishkalam, Nishkriyam, Shantam. Again, another meaning, another Shruti from Shvetasvatara says Nishkalam, Brahma is Nishkalam. Nishkalam means partless. So Atma cannot be Shamshah, it cannot be with parts because Shruti says Nishkalam, Atma or Brahman is partless. Nishkriyam, Nishkriyam means what? Actionless. Another Atma is not subject to any modification also because he is Nishkriya. Ityadi Atma is all pervasive and therefore not Anu or Madhyama. Atma is Nitya, meaning it is imperishable, therefore it doesn't have birth or death. Nishkalam, it is partless. Nishkriyam, it is actionless. Ityadi Agamaha Pramanam. All these statements of Shruti also are Pramanam. They also validate our position that Atma is all pervasive. So it is proven in this discussion that Atma is all pervasive. Now, evam Atmanah vibhutvam prasadhya tasya chidrupam nischedam tavad vadi pratipattim darshayati. So first of all, it is proven that Atma is Ananda Swarupaha, of the nature of Ananda. Second, it is proven that Atma is Vibhu, all pervasive. And now, now the author proceeds to prove that Atma is Chidrupaha, he is the nature of awareness or consciousness. Evam Atmanah vibhuddham prasadhya. Having established that Atma is Vibhu or all pervasive, tasya chidrupam nischedam. To ascertain that Atma is Chidrupaha, or he is awareness in nature, or Jnana Swarupaha. Tavad vadi pratipattim darshayati. First of all, with pratipattim, the various opinions or contentions that are held by the different contenders is first stated in the verse 87. Ityuktva tadvisheshetu bahudha kalaham yayuhu achidrupo sachidrupaha Chidachidrupa ityave. Ityuktva, having said that Atma is Vibhu, tad visheshetu. Now what's the nature of Atma? Tad visheshetu bahuda kalaham yayuhu. As far as the characteristic of Atma is concerned, bahuda kalaham yayuhu. All these different contenders, they quarrel amongst one another in various ways. Bahuda in various ways, kalaham quarrel, yayuhu they have attained. So these contenders quarrel among one another in various ways. And what are the contentions that they have? Achidrupaha. One school of thought says Atma is Achidrupaha, Atma is Jadaha, Atma is inert. Achidrupaha. Others say that Atma is Chidrupaha, he is conscious or consciousness in nature. Chidachidrupaha. Yet third people say that Atma is Chidachidrupaha. Atma is both inert and conscious simultaneously. So some people say Atma is unconscious or inert, other people say that Atma is conscious in nature, and third people say that Atma is conscious and inert simultaneously. Achidrupattvadano matam darshayati. Now starts a discussion with presenting the opinion of Achidrupattvadana. Those who contend that Atma is Achidrupa hai, Atma is inert, that opinion is first presented in the verse 88. Prabhakarastarkikascha Prahurasya chidatmatam Akashavadravyamatma Shabdavattadgunaschitihi. Prabhakaraha Tarkikascha Prahuhu. These two people, Prabhakaraha, they are the followers of a philosopher or thinker called Prabhakara. So Prabhakara was a disciple of Kumarila Bhatta. So a great Mimamsaka, one of the greatest Mimamsakas that India has produced is Kumarila Bhatta. And the story of Kumarila Bhatta is well known. That Shankaracharya, he was in the time of Shankaracharya, a little earlier than Shankaracharya. And they say that when Shankaracharya went on his tour to debate with different scholars and present the Advaita, Vedanta, then he was told that he must first go to this Kumarila Bhatta, who is the greatest exponent of Mimamsa, means Karmakanda. And therefore, Shankaracharya goes there. And that time Shankaracharya found that this Kumarila Bhatta was already in he had performed some, he had actually violated certain code of conduct. So he was a Mimamsaka, meaning a Karmakandi. And he is the one in fact who can be credited for having driven away Buddhism from India, more than even Shankaracharya. When Shankaracharya came into picture, this Kumarila Bhatta and his disciples already had done a great deal of work. So it was Kumarila Bhatta to establish the Pramanyam of the Vedas, that Vedas are Pramanam, they are the valid means of knowledge. And the Buddhas who rejected the Vedas were the primary opponents. And so in order to debate with them, what Kumarila Bhatta did when he was young, he went to one Buddhist monastery and he became a Buddhist monk there, a student, and then he learned all the above about Buddhism. But then at some point in time, when some discussion was going on, that Buddhist monk was talking about Buddhism, at that time he started very severely criticizing the Vedas. And this Kumarila Bhatta is sitting there in the audience, listening to it along with other disciples, and tears started rolling from his eyes because he could not stand the criticism of Vedas. And then other disciples knew that, hey, this fellow there is something wrong with him. That he is a fake person, he is not definitely a follower of Buddha. Because we will be happy. Here in this class, for example, when we talk about criticize Dvaita, how happy we are all, we always laugh at these things. When you go to other monasteries, other places where they teach Dvaita, then they ridicule Advaita also, then they laugh, you see. But suppose you go there and then you listen to that criticism of Advaita, you won't be able to stand that. And that's exactly, then they will know that this fellow doesn't belong to us. So similarly also, the other disciples came to understand this person does not belong to us. He is not a follower of Buddha. And therefore, they complained and they ultimately found out that he was a fake person, that he was in the guise of a Buddhist disciple, but actually he was a Mimamsaka, Karmakandi, follower of the Vedas, staunch follower of the Vedas, and therefore they decided to punish him. They said that, well, he should prove himself whether he is a Buddha about this or not. And so they said that the punishment is he will be thrown from the top of a mountain. And if he says the Veda is Praman, then well, Veda will save him, otherwise he will die. This is how. They knew that nobody is going to save him. And that's how he was taken up there and thrown. And while falling down, he uttered these words, if Vedas are Praman, then nothing should happen to me. And there was a miracle that nothing happened to him. He was saved, he was unhurt, except that he lost one eye. Because he said, if Veda is Pramanam, that if he used, and therefore that much lack of Shraddha he showed apparently, and therefore he had that much injury, but otherwise he was unhurt. Great Kumarila Bhatta. But this, he had a guilt complex in him that he had committed a sin. He had violated the basic code of conduct, that when he went around and he vanquished all the Buddhas. That means he went against, at least for a period of time, he was the disciple of a Buddhist monk. And he goes out and vanquishes the Buddhas himself. That means what? He is in fact criticizing his guru, or he is damaging his guru's prestige itself. And therefore, this is a fault. They should never go, you can never do this. And that's why he had this guilt in him. And so he decided to enter the fire. And from all the rice husks, there was a heap of rice husks. And he entered that, and rice husk was set to fire. And it burned slowly. So it was slowly burning. When Shankaracharya reached him, already he was on fire. And already his body, you can imagine the amount of suffering or the pain he must be going through. But he did go through that because he accepted that as a punishment as a repenting of something wrong that he had done. Shankaracharya reached him, he says, and he was just flabbergasted to see this thing. And he said, okay, I want to have a debate with you. He says, well, I'm in no position to debate with you, and you have to go to my disciple, Mandana Mishra. But Shankaracharya, there is no problem. If you want, I'll sprinkle the water on you, you will be all right. He says, no, I don't want that. That you have come to my doors and you have given darshan to me, that itself is a fulfillment of my life. That you are here in front of me at the time of my death, and that I have a darshana of such a great one as you, and I can see who you are, and that is a great fulfillment of my life, and my life is really, is wonderful, and therefore I have no intention of living now. And Shankaracharya is sent to debate with his principal disciple, Mandana Mishra. But then, of that Kumarila Bhatta, Prabhakara was another great disciple, and Prabhakara was called Guru. So it is also called Guru Matam, meaning Prabhakara Matam. And the followers of this Prabhakara are called Prabhakaraha. They are also Karma Mimamsakaha, but then this Prabhakara is slightly different. He differs from Kumarila Bhatta in certain details of Mimamsa. So they say Prabhakaraha, Tarkikascha, and also Tarka Kushalaha, Tarkikaha. Those people who are Tarkikaha, meaning for those who accept Tarka or reasoning as only Pramanam. This Nayayikas, Prahuhu, both of them say Achidatmatam, Atmanah. They say that Atma is Achit, meaning Atma is Jada. Atmanah, Achidatmatam, Prahuhu. Both of these people say that Atma is inert or Jada. Now, when they make a statement, of course they have to prove that. So Tikakara asks the question, Tat Prakriyam Anubhashate. What is the Prakriya, or what is the method that these Prabhakaras employ, the Nayayikas employ, to prove that Atma is Jada? So their argument, Anubhashate, here this Vedantic teacher repeats the reasoning of the Prabhakaras and Nayayikas, how they in fact reason that Atma is Jada. Akashvat Dravyam Atma. Atma is what? Dravyam. Akashavat. So according to Nayayikas, there are 9 dravyas. Dravyas means substances. The 5 elements are 5 substances. Then Dikkala, the space and time are the 2 substances. And Atma and Manaha, the self and the mind, another 2, this makes 9 substances. So these are 9 dravyas. And what is the dravya or substance? Gunashrayam dravyam. So Gunashraya dravyam. What is dravya or substance? That which is an ashraya or the locus of a guna or the quality. So that where the quality resides is called substance. Also kriyashrayam dravyam. So kriyashraya dravyam. That is where which is the locus of the activity. So that is also called dravyam or a substance. So according to them, substance is that which is the locus of the qualities, locus of activity, as well as samavaya karanam. Dravyam is that which is the material cause. So it is substance which becomes a material cause of something. So that is the definition of dravya. Therefore they say, Akashavat Atma Dravyam. Like Akash of the space is dravya. Why? Because Shabda Gunavatvat. With Akasha or the space possesses the quality of Shabda or sound. And therefore Akasha is the locus of the quality of sound. So that which is the locus of the quality is called Dravyam. And therefore Akasha also is called Dravyam because it possesses the quality called sound. Akasha, like Akasha of the space, Atma also is Dravyam. Says the Tikakara here, Atma Dravyam Bhavitum Arhati Gunavatvat Akashavat Anumanam Suchitam. What is the guna of the Atma? Chitihi. Chitihi is what? The consciousness. Atma itself is supposed to be so Shabdavat Tad Gunas Chitihi. Akasham is what? Shabdavat. Akasha is possessed of the quality of sound. And therefore Akasha is Dravyam. Atma also is Dravya. Why? Because Atma is possessed of the quality of Chitihi. Chiti means consciousness. So Atma is not conscious. According to them, Atma according to them is inert. But consciousness is the quality of Atma. It's interesting. Atma itself is inert, but consciousness is the quality possessed by Atma. So they separate again or they distinguish between the guna and dravya. The quality and the substance according to them are different. So dravya is one padartha and guna is another padartha. When they talk of padartha or the different categories, then the dravyam, the substance is one category, the quality is another category, because they accept the difference between the guna and guni or guna and dravya, the quality and substance. So they say that Akasha space is different and the quality sound is different. And similarly, the Atma Dravyam, Atma is a substance that is different and its quality, namely consciousness, also is different. So Atma Dravyam Bhavitum Arhati. Atma should be Dravyam, meaning Atma also must be a substance. Why? Gunavatvat. Because Atma is possessed of guna or quality. What's the quality? Chitihi. Atma is possessed of the quality of consciousness and therefore Atma must be a dravya or a substance. What is the drishtanta? Akashavat, like space. So like space is a dravyam because possessed of the quality of sound. And so gunavatvat is a hetu. Anything that is possessed of the quality must be a substance. Like Akasha, which is substance and possessed of quality. That's called drishtanta, where sadhya and hetu both are there. So drishtanta is Akasha, space. What is hetu? Possessed of quality. What is sadhya? That it is dravyam or substance. So Akasha is both sadhya as well as hetu. It is substance as well as possessed of guna. Now when hetu is found elsewhere, sadhya is proven. In Atma we find that Atma is possessed of the quality of consciousness and therefore Atma is dravya or substance. This is Anumanam Suchim. This is the inference also is what is indicated here. Atmanah prasiddhyadibhyah bhed sadhakam vishesha gunam darshayati. And then also the further Prabhakara say that Atma is substance, but how do we say that Atma is not one of the other substances like Prithvi, etc.? So, just because Atma possesses quality, why not Atma is Prithvi like earth, etc.? Prasiddhyadibhyah bhed sadhakam vishesha gunam darshayati. But Atma possesses a guna or quality which is not possessed by other substances. So he also has to show that Atma is a substance different from other substances. What are the other substances? The five elements. Akash, Vayu, Agni, Apaha, Prithvi, the five elements. Deshaha, Karaha, the space and time. And Manaha, the mind, the other 8 substances. And he has to prove that Atma is a substance which is different from other substances, because every substance must possess a quality which is unique to itself. Like Gandhavati Prithvi, like earth is that it possesses the quality of fragrance. And then the water is that which possesses the quality of the Shitalata. The fire is that which possesses the quality of Ushnata, etc. So these are all the unique qualities that possess, and therefore they are independent dravyas, substances. And you must show that Atma also possesses a quality which is not possessed by any other substance, and then alone Atma can be proven to be an independent substance. So Atmanah Prasiddhyadibhyah Bheda Sadhakam Vishesha Gunam Darshayati. That Vishesha Gunam, or that unique attribute that Atma has, Bheda Sadhakam, which distinguishes itself from the other substances, that is shown subsequently, Shabdavaditi. Says the Tikakara, Atma Prasiddhyadibhyah Bhidyate Jnana Gunatvat Atma Prasiddhyadibhyah Bhidyate. Atma is different from other substances such as Prithvi. Why? Jnana Gunatvat, because Atma possesses the attribute of Jnanam, or knowledge or consciousness, which quality of consciousness is not possessed by other substances. So other substances are also inert, Atma also is inert, but other substances, none of the other substances possesses the quality of consciousness, where Atma possesses quality of consciousness. Therefore, it is a substance and different from other substances. Yet prasiddhyadibhyo na bhidyate tad jnana gunakamapi na bhavati yatha prasiddhyadi iti anumanam drashtavyam. So that which is not different from other substances such as Prithvi, earth, etc., tad jnana gunakamapi na bhavati, that also cannot possess the attribute of knowledge or awareness. So Prithvi, etc. are substances that do not possess a quality of consciousness. And therefore, in order for a substance to be different from Prithvi, etc., it must possess a quality called consciousness. And so, anything that does not possess a quality of consciousness is not separate from Prithvi, etc. Atma is separate from them because it possesses the quality called consciousness, which no other substance possesses. So, yatha prasiddhyadi, just as Prithvi, etc. does not possess a quality other than, the quality of consciousness, and therefore is not different from Prithvi. And this is a reverse. This is called Vyatireki Anumanam. Vyatireki Anumanam means it is, because there is no positive Drishtanta here, but Vyatireki Drishtanta is there, a negative illustration is given. Because there is no other substance which possesses the quality of consciousness, and therefore we do not have Drishtanta or illustration to in fact to prove the consciousness of Atma. And therefore, the Vyatireki Drishtanta or the opposite illustration is given here. That Atma is a substance which is different from other substances such as Prithvi, because it possesses the quality of consciousness or awareness. Alright, I think we can continue subsequently tomorrow. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayanam Sutra Bhashya Krutau Vande Bhagavantau Punah Punah. Ishvaro Gururatmeti Murti Bheda Vibhagine Vyomavad Vyapta Dehaya Dakshinamurtaye Namaha. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om.